So I expect most of us, if not all of us, keep poking around the various websites that sell models and just have a look at the cool things and decide what we might want to buy. And sometimes we even add things to the cart that we might not actually be wanting to buy, but wouldn't it be cool if we could? And so hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and I'm starting a new series of what would I buy with £50? I think the series needs a better name than that, but that's essentially what it is. And I'm going to go through various model making websites. Today I'm starting with Mantic Games, and I'm going to make an imaginary cart of maximum £50 worth of stuff, of cool models. I do have a few rules, guidelines, if you will, of how to keep things a little sensible and interesting. But I have been looking at Mantic Games. Some of the games from Mantic Games are quite interesting, and I've been looking at some of the models as well, because some of those are very cool. But rather than sit around explaining things for the next few hours, let's just get stuck in, because Mantic actually have kind of 5 main games that fit across 2 universes, if you will. There's Dead Zone and Firefight, which is the science fiction, and then Kings of War and Armada, and also there's a skirmish version of Kings of War that we'll find as we go through it, and that's the high fantasy kind of setting. But there's some other things that we can look at as well, and I'm sure we will get through to that. But as Kings of War, from what I understand, is kind of the starting point for Mantic Games, that's the kind of their first big game, I reckon we just start there and have a look through some of the models. And of course, as you might expect, we have the elves and the dwarves and similar sort of things, the standard kind of classic high fantasy races, but they are done in Mantic's own way. They haven't just kind of copied other people's styles, although this particular chap, Elf King with spear, that is a classic looking elf. Very cool, although I'm not sure about the helmet. An elf lord on Dracon, not a dragon. That's a better looking helmet. That's a really cool model. I do have a dragon somewhere, although this one's wearing armor on it as well, so that's also cool. This kind of armored breastplate thing. Ooh, would you look at those? They're fancy. Chariots, I guess. What are these? These are the Elf War Chariots Regiment. These horses don't look particularly fast, if I'm honest. This is more of the kind of Britain style chariot rather than the later Roman style. This, however, the Elf War Chariot is £40, and so that would be most of our £50 budget in one purchase. So I think we'll concentrate on smaller things. Tree herder. That's really cool. There's actually some detail, mushrooms and vines and things growing over it. And is that a crow? Is that a crow? I hope that's a crow, because that would be cool. That's a nice model. So let's have a quick look over the dwarves as well, because the dwarves also have some classic styling, but Mantic's doing things in their own way. The entire budget for today of £50 could be spent on this one model, a dwarf steel behemoth, which is steampunk elephant with a howdah, ram horns. That's actually really cool. You get someone running the bellows and flamethrowers, maybe. Oh, yeah, that's a really cool model. That is very cool. As mentioned, a little on the top of our budgets for today. Dwarf sharpshooters troop, who looks to be kind of musketeers of some kind of way. Classic dwarf warsmith, and that is very much a classic dwarven design, with just a little hint of Gimli, I imagine. That's a pretty cool model. It's £10 for a character model, so that's not too bad. Let's open that up. I'm slowly opening up many tabs at the top of my screen, so we'll see if that survives the cull later on. What on earth is this? Dwarf battle driller. Mining tool turned into a battle weapon. That's cool. I like that. What the... Dwarf Support Pack Steel Juggernaut, £12.50. It's a dwarf in a massive exosuit, steam-powered exosuit. That is... It's kind of the classic dwarven thing, but turned up to 11. Let's have a quick look at the Abyssal Dwarves. Dwarves turned to the forces of evil. Ugh. Abyssal Dwarf Grotesques Regiment. They're lovely. Lovely. Yuck. Ooh. I like the paint job on this one. Lots of kind of lava flow under this kind of rock surface effect. That's pretty cool. We've got a long way to go. There's a lot of models to look through. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Just off of the side of the screen, underneath my camera, right here. Some of the characters come in packs. So we could have £35 for the 3 characters rather than what were they, £15 each. We might consider that actually, but let's move on to the Bacillion, who are the kind of religious human faction with lots of white and pale blue and hey, look at us, we're all shiny and we're the best because reasons. And off to a good start with that. Look at that. Beautiful model, really nicely painted as well. £40, so it is most of our budget, so probably not, but that is really cool. So the Bacillion Abbess is the character model here. That's a badass pose with the kind of the sensor and a warhammer going on. We've got the Bacillion Dictator, similar kind of armor style. Bit chunkier. We've got. I thought that was an entire fist, but actually no, the fist is just up here. And a big warhammer with a spike. That's pretty cool. We'll keep that for a minute. Ooh, shiny wings, big floaty blue fire. Oh. That's nice. Painted up as red fire. I like the blue fire though. Who's this? Who's this in the background? I want that model. That model's awesome. Look at those wings. I'm getting distracted. Hopefully at some point we find that other Is that it? Yes, it is. It is. Then there is the same picture on it. So this is Bacillion Aureli Julius, which I'm definitely pronouncing wrong. Oh, we don't get a larger picture than that, unfortunately. But those are cool wings. Okay, this is £20 model, but that's definitely going to go at the top of the list. So, right, moving on from the Bacillions. Hopefully we don't have too many more factions. We have plenty. But I think this is, yes, this is... if I was going to end up playing Mantic's Kings of War, I'd probably be playing this faction, because this is like Doom, just all of the hell beasts of Doom, and that's really cool. Now I have had a quick look through them, and I can't find the one unit that I really would want, which is this kind of in the big picture there. Let me bring up here. So this kind of monstrous horned creaturey things with fire fists, and these are cool and I want them, but I couldn't find them separately anywhere on the list. The nearest I could find was the Forces of the Abyss Tortured Soul Regiment, and these are more like the zombie downgraded version of the monstery things. Not that they're not cool, they are cool, and they've got the flaming fists, but it's not the ones I would want. We did, however, find this guy who is very much painted as if they were a computer game character. That looks like it's lifted straight out of Doom, and that's just cool. Orcs and Goblins we'll kind of skip over, because I have done a lot of Orcs and Goblins in the past. That's not to say they're not cool, and that's not to say that these models are not really cool, because they are. It's just that I personally have done them to death. Although War Trombone may get free pass, because that's silly. It also has to be said that the one thing I don't have is a giant, and that's kind of in the middle of this picture here. Maybe that's something that I could consider, but it's probably one of the more expensive ones, so best not. And the orcs are called... just orcs, apparently. And yeah, as mentioned, some cool models. This dinosaur riding dude is just really cool. But it's a lot of stuff I've kind of done. The orc boar riders, also, these are really cool models. These are actually probably nicer models than my boar riders, but I don't need more boar riders. Maybe I do need more boar riders. No, I don't need more boar riders. Okay, we have the forces of nature that I won't spend too long on because there are some really cool models here as well. But some of this stuff appears in other factions as well, so I can kind of skip over those. We do get centaurs, which are an interesting... like, I haven't seen centaur models very often, and so this is a good one to include. I'll keep that for the moment, although it's probably going to get dropped. This druid is a really cool model. Like, if I was doing a D&D game and I was being a human shaman or a druid, this is a Forces of Nature druid after all. Yeah, this is a really cool model. I like the overall styling of it. We can keep that for the moment. So the Northern Alliance, which seems to be Ice Vikings, Ice Nords kind of thing, although there's a lot of allied units as well. And that, yeah, that's a cool model. The pose and this kind of crystalline effect, that could be a really cool paint job. I think I'd really enjoy painting all of this. Maybe even, hopefully this is a separate piece, and you can get in here to paint a glow effect on her skirts and on her arm, and then paint this crystal as if it's glowing. I think that would be really cool. I genuinely would. That model is going on the shortlist. There's a lot of models on the shortlist already, certainly more than I can fit in my £50 budget. Maybe I should have gone for a bigger budget, but isn't that always the way? More money is always the answer. So these salamanders, which are kind of dinosaur people, dinosaur riding dinosaur. Who doesn't want a dinosaur riding a dinosaur? That's really cool. I've just seen the name of this unit. It is called the Rhinosaur. Because it's a dino rhinosaur. Dino rhinoceros. Okay, pun names is a bonus point. Unfortunately, this is £45 for the Rhinosaur Cavalry Regiment. So it's a bit much for our budget today, but that's such a cool model. And a pun name. Yes, I love it. Ooh. Okay, so this is one of the character models for the salamanders. That's a little lizard dude riding on a four-winged rock fire magma bird thing. That's cool. So it's called the Gekota Skylord. The mount is called a Scorchwing, which is the coolest thing. Yeah, this is... It's £25 for a character model, or for one character model, which is a little more than some of the others. A lot of the others are £10 to £15, but this is the coolest of them all. And so this may have to be, it's £25, this may have to be the one I go with. Ooh, that's cool. So I found further down, there is, other than the Kings of War, there is the Vanguard. And the way I think it works is that Kings of War is the battle game and Vanguard is the skirmish game version. And it's the same scale, it's the same models. I'm pretty sure they are just the same models, although some of them are in different bundles of sets. Zoom in on that picture, why don't you? That's entirely useful. There we go, that's better. This particular set, the Abyssal Warband set, does have a couple of those monsters that I was looking at, but it also has some other really cool things. £35 is probably more than we want for my challenge today, but this is probably my entry point into this game, starting off with Vanguard and then moving on to Kings of War with this kind of set. That may be something that I do in the future. But yeah, there's all of the factions: the orcs, dwarves, elves, and the rat people. Again, some just gribbly, funny, crazy creatures, and rat swarms. Ratkin Vermintide. There's a name that I've heard before. Absolutely horrible models. There's a corpse in there. There's some rocks that they're climbing over. This would make nice scenery. There's a few things that I could do with these. Maybe this is something to come back to when I do other projects. But talk about coming back to, let's move away from all of this high fantasy stuff and move over to the science fiction side, because we have Dead Zone and Firefight. And I think the same thing with Vanguard and Kings of War. We have a battle game and a skirmish game. Okay, fine. So it looks like Dead Zone is the skirmish version and Firefight is the battle version. Okay. The Enforcers are something that I have looked at before, because I got these jet bikes for a different project. The rest of them are kind of these kind of clean space soldier, kind of armoured, almost like armoured police in a way. They are called Enforcers, so that makes sense for that aesthetic. Not the sort of thing that I'm terribly interested in. They sell them in clear? Hang on a minute. Stealth field generators. And so they've made the jet bikes. They're selling the jet bike models in a clear plastic because they have field generators. Stealth field generators on them, so they go invisible. That's kind of fun. You'll play, yeah. That's a fun little feature. But really, not really looking at Enforcers because the vehicles are cool. I'm not such a fan of the infantry. Alphabetical order, we have the Asterians first, which I skipped over a little bit. Kind of spindly looking chaps with the long kind of alien legs. It's an interesting style. I don't hate it. Ooh, that's a cool looking. It's almost like robotic, or rather than alien in a way, but maybe that's just because they're heavily armored. What's this? Asterian Chira transporter. That's cool. I like that. How big is it? Oh, okay, so it's pretty big. So this is a main battle vehicle, main transport vehicle. Loving the hot pink paint job on this one. The Marionette Phantom or Shadow. That's actually a really cool model. I like that. Alright, who's next? The GCPS, who are Marines in space. I guess if you like the Alien films, this is a great choice. Tend to be less interested in this kind of... That's not to say they're bad, it's just not my style. These monowheels, monocycles. I like these, strangely, I do. They've just got that little bit of silly to them, because it's a monowheels, and monowheels are silly. Okay, it looks like we skipped over the Forge Fathers, and that is cool. I want that, whatever that is. As we scroll down, we shall find out. So it looks like these are the science fiction version of the dwarves, Forge Fathers and ancestors and all of that kind of thing. Is the type of thing we would expect. They have a lot of tech, a lot of sturdy, stout and stoic kind of technology, as is traditional for the dwarves. And we also have some biker dudes, because that's a fun thing for space dwarves to have. There we go. So what's this? Forge Father Gungnir artillery tank. They've got some Nordic language in here as well. That's cool. I don't like that the armor panels are layered forwards, because that's a shot trap. I would want that to be the other way around so that incoming rounds deflect off. But maybe that's just me being too much of an engineer and a military nerd. It is aesthetically quite cool, yeah, even without that. That's £35 though, so it's not. Ooh, what's this? Doomstorm Pattern Iron Ancestor. Big stompy robot with 2 big guns. Yeah, we'll keep that handy because that's cool. Hey, we've got a little one of the little assault tank. Is that Sergeant Bash? Is it? I like that as well. My short list of models is several £100 right now, but that's going on the short list because that's cool. Hey, it's Dr. Octopus. Ooh, those eyes though. Ooh, scary eyes. Scary eyes, Dwarven Dr. Octopus. Not my style, but a cool model certainly. There we go. That's another one. Stern Hammer battle tank. Looks like the same hull but with a different turret. We've got a quad. Looks like ammo feeds here, so maybe a quad autocannon sort of thing. Forge Lord. That has a very, I want to say, Transformers aesthetic to it, and I'm not sure why. So we have another version of the Iron Ancestor. Where's my original? There we go. So this was the Doomstorm pattern that we looked at before, and this is the Thor pattern. So we've got 2 guns or 2 the hammers. Oh, I like them both. I like them both. There must be one where they've got one of each. Yep. Forge Fire. Yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like it with one of each. I like it focused. I think it's the guns. The guns, like the dual autocannons. That is a big. Yeah, that one wins. I like the hammers. I like the hammers one, but that has to win. It's getting too much because that's already £20 for the Iron Ancestor, £18 for the hull tier half track. I love half tracks as well. I love half tracks. I love Mirror Robot Wars, and I just love this style of thing. I'll have to decide later. It seems to me that while we've agreed that if I'm starting Kings of War, I'm using the Forces of the Abyss. If I start Firefight, I'm probably going to be Forge Fathers just because of the cool vehicles they get. So the Marauders are the Orcs, Space Orcs. Again, as mentioned before, I've done a lot of Orcs, so we may skip over this quite quickly. Although, not to say they're not cool models, because they're cool models. These are actually really nice. All the armour and stuff that they've got on them. An Orc with a gas mask. I haven't painted that before. Hey, it's new. That means I have to buy it. Is that an Orc Robocop? So we've got an Orc Robocop as well. The Marauder Ripper Warlord. So this is a Marauder Robocop. Ooh, what's all this? So the Maison Labs seem to have a lot of varied units with experimental bio-research and technical research, and that's the actual infantry are, again, they're that kind of modern soldier sci-fied up a bit aesthetic, which is fine, and these are cool models. They're just not my style. But some of the Gribblies. Me after a long day of work. I appreciate this quite a lot. Let's keep that handy. And we've got some allied Plague Murderbirds. They'd kind of be fun to paint, although this type of wing, you just spend a long time picking out each of those. You do a lot with a dry brush, but it really does look good when you've picked out each one individually. Oh, we actually find those Murderbirds again in the Plague faction, the just called the Plague. A lot of vehicles and stuff from other factions, including the Aberration there. Perfect, no notes. Love it. Ooh, whoa, hello. This is like similar styling to the Dwarven, the Forge Fathers stuff, but a lot more Mad Max as well, and I appreciate that. I like that. There's a transport version. It's also a little bit armored car in a way. Mad Max armored car with that kind of the Forge Fathers aesthetic. I appreciate that quite a lot. Ugh, yuck. Plague Swarms here for £15. We've got bat-eared demon cat creatures. Those are horrible. Yeah, those are definitely going on the shortlist. Yeah, Skexis rule thra. Plague Terrathon. That's cool. I like that a lot. There's a lot of stuff on this site that I like. Well, we've had a look through all of the science fiction stuff, and we've had a look through a decent chunk of the high fantasy stuff. But there is another high fantasy game that's connected to Kings of War, because we have the ships as well. And this is actually something that I have played. This is the one Mantic game I have played the most. And I think it is quite a lot of fun. We got some of the Basellians, which are the kind of the religious human faction. They were nice to paint up. I've done most of these on video. Really like the sloop squadrons. But we also have these massive ones, the Abbess and the Dictator, which are cool ships to have. The other ones were also the Orcs, and the one that I was missing that I really liked is the Smasher with the big flames. I just like flames, okay? I like flames. I don't deny it, I like the flames in the jaw, so there's that. But of course there are other factions now. When I looked at this last, there were pretty much only those two, and the dwarves were just being released. So we've got the iron hull steamship aesthetic with little cannons and stuff, and they look cool. The Empire of Dust I have seen a little bit of. These are the undead faction in Kings of War, as we looked at earlier, but with a very Egyptian theme. So we've got catapults and all of this kind of, and cats, obviously. You gotta have cats. But I think my favourite of the Armada stuff is the elves, because all of these long, like catamaran with the big swoopy sails, these look great. Unfortunately, there's not really many options. There's the bundle for 100, and this Valandor ship for £30. And given our budget of £50, I have to skip over it, unfortunately. That's a shame. If we had maybe some of these smaller ones, maybe a little bundle, or maybe just one of these separately would be quite appropriate for us today. I'm noticing that all of these pictures are of the inside of the sails. Every single one of these is of the inside. Yeah, same here. Show me the outside of the sail, I dare you. Anyway, we do have some other ones. We have the Salamanders with what looks like another one of those scorch wings and a phoenix. Actually, having a smaller version of the scorch wing might be better for our budget today. I don't like it as much as the one where there's the lizard riding on it. It's here on my shortlist. I've got a lot of tabs open right now. We'll find it at some point. Again, I just like fire. And this is the most recent that I've heard of, the Trident realm. Less ships and more all of the sea creatures who have come to the surface to say, hey, leave us alone, kind of thing. We've got serpents and sea turtles and giant fish and a wave, just an angry wave. I want the angry wave and the crab. Yeah, there's a squid coming along for the ride, but I think this model is of an angry wave, not the squid. Yeah, it doesn't say specifically what it is, but yeah, I want the angry wave. I want the angry wave. That's going on the shortlist alongside a lot of other things. We also have the Leviathan, which a narwhal whale. This is cool. This the Trident Realms tempts me with the Mantic Vault. Now, I'm not doing digital stuff in this series, unless it's a digital only site, which we might look at in the future. But Mantic do sell some of their models as digital format for home 3D printing, and that is definitely something I'd be interested in for the Trident Realms, because these are cool. These are really cool. I have seen these at some point, and I don't actually like the shape of the hull, the way that they've done all these bubbly, pussy nastiness things, but the purple sails look amazing. I love the purple sails. Well, moving on from the ships, we've got a bunch of other things that Mantic sell. We've got the Hellboy board game. We've got some role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons books. We're not buying books today. We're not really looking at dice. Dreadball. I was wondering if this was still around. So Dreadball is the kind of space rugby game from Mantic. These are nice models. I wouldn't want a whole team of them, just one. Frantar Philosophers Pseudo-Chan team. Yeah, if I could just have one of those, that would be really cool. These look fun. The Magnetar Marvels. I mean, right there, there's your science fiction RPG party. Just paint these up and hand them out to your players. It's like, this is your character. You're a space worm tentacle thing. You're a two dudes in a trench coat. There's the bionic armed mechanical cyborg and the alien in the spacesuits with wings. These ones are cool as well. The unincorporated Rebs team. It's a mix of different kind of lizard people, frog people. Okay, Dungeon Saga appears to be mostly books, but there is a set of some very nice models. That's a cool one. I like that. Can't really see it clearly there. Unfortunately, this is £50, so that's the entire budget on one item, which I'd rather avoid. And so what I need to do now that I have found all of these really cool models is go through them and decide which ones do I actually want to pick for my £50 challenge. And oh boy, I have to get that. The Gekota Skylord has to be that's number one. That has to be. That's just cool. I like them all. Okay, I'm gonna disappear off and choose. I should be back, well, for you guys instantly with my decision. And so here we are. As sadness as I have had to get rid of a lot of the cool models that I wanted, but I've picked my favourites and I have come to exactly £50, and my choices were, as we expected, the Gekota Skylord was the number one, which did take half of our budget straight away. This model is just really cool. The paint job for the box art there is really nice as well. I was tempted to go for the smaller version for the Kings of War Armada game, but I really liked the bigger version. It has so much more detail, and we have this gecko guy on the back. It's just such a cool model. I would genuinely love to paint this model because it looks so cool. We then also have the Aberration. I think Aberration is how it's pronounced. From Dead Zone. And this guy is just angry, muscle, sinews, spikes, and just the angry face. Is just such a mood. Really cool model. And then the final one, as we mentioned, I would love to do a glow effect on this. This is a fantastic high fantasy mage model. Would be great for various roleplay games, but also for Kings of War. I notice, interestingly, that these three models, the Gekota and the Northern Alliance Ice Queen, are both Kings of War models. And while the Aberration is a Dead Zone model, one of the science fiction ones, it doesn't have any tech on the character, on the model itself. It's a probably a genetically modified creature, but not a science fiction specific. You could absolutely use this in a high fantasy setting. And I wonder if there's something to that. There were a lot of science fiction models in my shortlist, like the Forge Fathers, all of the Forge Fathers vehicles, because they're cool, and some others as well. But this is what I chose in the end: the angry sinew muscle creature, the fantastic looking Ice Queen, and my favourite model on the whole site, the Gakota Skylord on Scorchwing. Well, anyway, that is, as I mentioned, my £50 and the challenge complete. So thank you very much to everyone who's managed to stick with me this long. If you like this format of video, as this is something I'm considering doing a few of, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. If you managed to get to the end, post a comment anyway. But also, post any websites that you'd like me to have a look at. I know of a few manufacturers that I can look at, so I've got at least a few videos that I can make if this does prove like a popular series that people actually want to watch. But I'm certainly willing to have a look at sites that I haven't heard of, because that then gives me the opportunity to look through and really find things fresh and just go with my gut feeling of what's the prettiest models available, kind of thing. But for the moment, thank you very much for watching. I'm ED-SKaR, I always will be, and yeah, someone give me £50 so I can buy this, or at least 25 for the Gakota Skylord. Anyway, bye, thank you for watching.